Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to The United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news, and we've got some big stories to discuss tonight, quite a lot to get into. We're going to be talking about United and a bid for TCHOUAMENI, which is coming in from quite a credible source. We're also going to be talking about Pereira, who is going to leave the club. He will leave the club. We're also going to be talking about Saul Niguez. Predicted 11 apparently has come out for Saturday. We'll talk about that. Also an update on Camavinga, Amad Diallo, and a few things around Jesse Lingard as well. So lots to talk about, and we're going to be talking about this bid for TCHOUAMENI that could be going in the next 10 days, and obviously Pereira and what that means as well. But first of all, exciting integration for you today. Let me see if we can get this up on the screen. Okay, so let's head straight into this. Ultimate Fan. Today's show is supported by Ultimate Fan Fantasy League app. It's the start of the season. We're all excited about this sort of thing. Ultimate Fan is a fantasy football game with a twist. Imagine fantasy football combined with FIFA pack openings you see in Ultimate Team. The game is super simple to play. All you've got to do is be over 18 and download the app totally for free using the link in the description. Follow the super simple sign-up system and then you'll be able to start opening packs and filling in your five-a-side team for this coming weekend. So it's a five-a-side team that accumulates points, little bit like your fantasy football, but you do open packs to get your team. There's also Ultimate Fan Plus for you to explore. This section features paid for gold and silver packs where you can receive extra cards, exclusive content, and also a free crate of beer from Beer 52. Each week as well, there are prizes available for the teams that perform the best, and this week's prize pool is £8,500. So I've already been opening my pack for this week, so let's have a quick look at what my squad is. You've been seeing as it goes through. I've got gold card Calvert-Lewin, silver card Max Aaron, silver card Rudiger, silver card Pascal Schruck, Lingard, Scott McTominay, Mikel Antonio, Diego Jota, Jared Braithwaite, Matthias Jensen, Ryan Sessegnon, and Takumi Minamino. So not a bad start there. Some interesting players. I don't think some of them will actually bloody start this weekend, but there you go. But I need your help to decide who I should play in this team as well this week. So put your selections in the comments below and let me know who you think I should play. And thanks again to Ultimate Team for sponsoring the show. And don't forget to download the app in the description and get involved today. Link is in the video description, as I say. Let's get back on with the show. And I'm back on the screen. So yes, it's a five-a-side thing. It's done on a weekly basis. There's £8,500 up for grabs this week if you can win. You play the game, you get your packs. You can open more packs if you want, and you build a five-a-side team to compete. Points are accumulated through goals, appearances, tackles, etc. Links in the video description. Give it a go. I'm very, very excited about playing that this weekend because I was speaking to Spencer FC about it yesterday, and apparently he won a couple of on the opening weekend. So I'm excited to play it. Links in the video description. Right, let's get... Oh, here we go. Zayn Miasi, Odegaard coming, Arteta out, Conte incoming. Conte will do for us what he did for Chelsea when Mourinho left them in a mess. Also, Coutinho is coming soon. Zayn, thank you for the super chat, but you do just know you've just spent the same amount of money on a crap Sheffield United goalkeeper as what you've just paid Odegaard. That cancels out. I think Odegaard's a good deal. I think Ramsdale, you may as well get the money, put it in a big bin and burn it. What a stupid deal that is. You've now spent nearly £80 million on a Sheffield United goalkeeper and a Brighton centre-back. Not that bright, are you? Mark, Cavani's got a new song. Can we hear you sing it? I don't know what it is, Ben Anderson. Anyway, let's get on the show. I want to talk about Manchester United. I want to talk about the two big stories tonight. First of all, we're going to talk about TCHOUAMENI. Then we'll talk about Pereira, a little bit about Camavinga, a little bit about Lingard as well. But first of all, I just want to talk about this story that's come out about TCHOUAMENI. I spoke about TCHOUAMENI this morning, and that was in relation to the transfer podcast with Duncan Castles. We've had a story coming out this afternoon from MUFC MPB, who is quoting at Sacha Tavalieri, who is saying that Manchester United are interested in signing TCHOUAMENI and are in talks with his agency. It's possible that United will make an opening bid to Monaco for TCHOUAMENI before the transfer window closes. Now, this source was very accurate around Lukaku, and it is, for me, it's a development. It's a development. I'm still sceptical. I am still sceptical, but it is a development. And what I like about the development is that It's not saying that a bid's definitely going in. It's not saying that United are about to sign him. It's saying United are interested, they're talking to his agency, his agent, and they are considering putting a bid in before the end of this transfer window. Now, there is a supplementary story to this. This is coming from at SantiJFM, who is saying that Monaco do not want to sell Tchouaméni this summer. So look, we effectively look, and a lot, people like to go, what's your percentage? And which is exactly what John is just saying. How solid are these rumours? Is it bullshit or real? The player seems the right profile for what we need. As I said this morning, I think that this player is absolutely. Check his wiki page, says Vishnu. He probably says it's a Manchester United player. I agree with Paul H. I think Monaco will sell. I think French clubs will sell in this market. The second thing I would say is that I think he fits the profile of what we need better than any player that we've been linked to, because he is a holding midfielder. He is very good at tackling, and at 21 he's going to get better and better. As I said this morning, this reminds me of a Leicester signing that you go, why didn't we bloody buy him? So I do think that there is a very good player there in Tchouaméni. What do I think about the latest reports? I think you can only be encouraged. I wouldn't say get excited. I think you can only be encouraged. My percentage on whether we buy him is probably 20%. That's it. It's low. But I would be encouraged by the development from this morning to this afternoon, because there is further stories coming out. And maybe, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but maybe at some point in the next 24 hours or few days, we get the big hitter. We get a Romano or somebody we can really go, wow, something's happening. Alternatively, and probably more likely, we get absolutely nothing and it was just a story. We were linked to that Sarr player the other day. So, look, I do like him. I'd be very excited about buying him, much the same as I'd be excited if we bought Camavinga. I think with this lad, he's further along than Camavinga. He's a little bit older, and I think he's more definitely a holding midfielder. I do think Camavinga can play there, but I do think that Tchouaméni is more of a holding midfielder. I'm not going to pretend I've seen loads of him because I don't watch French football, but I've seen bits about him, and I've certainly heard, to be honest with you, the first bit of research I did on him was when I heard Chelsea were in for him, because I'm always interested in what Chelsea are doing. Not because I support Chelsea, but I just respect their transfer business, selling players and buying players. I don't think there's anybody better in the Premier League. I think they're brilliant. So when we were looking at Rice, obviously this is going to come across as quite logical, but when we wanted Rice, and I want Rice, and I knew he wanted to go to Chelsea, but I was hearing these rumours about Chelsea and Tchouaméni, it was making me do a lot of research on him about 2 or 3 months ago, because I was like, how much do Chelsea want him? What's he like? Is he the same as Rice? So in that research and looking around and talking to people and doing a bit of, to be honest, YouTube clips, I was like, yeah, he's bloody good. I don't know why we're not looking at him. But I still would have took Rice over him. So the fact that we might be in for him United, which I never thought we would be, I'd be very excited if we got him. But do I think we're going to do it? Look, we've got less than 2 weeks left of the transfer window. If Monaco are reluctant to sell and Man United haven't even put a bid in yet, it's a very short period of time for us to do it. But what's United's what's the big idea with Manchester United this summer? I mean, what is it really? Because did they come into this summer wanting to smash the ball out the park with a midfielder, a right winger and a centre-back, and they are going to get a midfielder? Or did they come into it going, get Sancho and Varane, forget about it, that'll be enough? We'll find out in the next couple of weeks. For me, a competent football club gets the midfielder as well, because there's no doubt that Ollie's looking for that. I mean, there's a story in the Manchester Evening News today saying that United are not in for Saúl Ñíguez because Saúl Ñíguez does not fit in with the profile of the holding midfielder that Manchester United want, which is encouraging. If that is true, we're looking for a specific, type of midfielder, then yeah, look, we've had the discussion on this channel. Is Saúl Ñíguez a holding midfielder? Gut feeling we're going to sign Sean Longstaff for 15 million on the deadline day, says Joshua Bouter. On the serious, Joshua, he is actually available for about 10 million, isn't he? God, imagine if we'd bought him. We were looking at him as well. Hi Mark, says Alav. My initial thoughts on Tchouaméni is he is a bit slow on distribution and would need time to adjust to the Premier League, and is more for the future. Never heard of him, don't want him, just sounds like another cheap alternative, says Sean Turner. I want a top 5 player in the world in the holding role. You're going to be waiting a long time, Sean. We're not going to get that sort of player. Chewy would be fantastic. Ollie's nickname, says Adam. Karaki. We've got Chewy in the midfield. Raphael tweeted with him and Pogba. I hope this makes Pogba stay, says a key. Well, you're speculating beyond belief there. Haven't seen him play. Camavinga either. Can't comment, says De Gea 10. Well, Camavinga I'm going to talk about. In fact, I'll talk about Camavinga now. So there's a story coming out this evening from a quite credible Real Madrid outlet saying that Manchester United and Camavinga's agent, I think it's Jonathan Bartnett, have basically said there is a 0% chance that Camavinga comes to Real Madrid this summer, and that there's talk of maybe waiting until next summer. So a 0% chance that Camavinga is going to Real Madrid this summer. So you're saying there's a chance? No, there's a 0% chance. But it was never about Real Madrid and Camavinga this summer anyway. It was about Manchester United or PSG. And what I would say about Camavinga, and if you're tuning in a little bit late, there is more stories about Tchouaméni now. Not stories I would run on and go, I'm getting really excited, but just a little bit more. Gina G. A little bit more. But, it could be the progression towards a really big Romano tweet. It could just, be a little story that goes out over the next 24 hours. So we'll have to wait and see. With Camavinga, United are interested. Who would I pick out of Tchouaméni or Camavinga? To be honest with you, I wouldn't be massively bothered with either of them. I think they've both got the potential to be exactly what we're looking for. And I'd rather take either of them than absolutely bloody nothing. So I would really, really like us to get one of them. I still think that Camavinga is possible, but there definitely seems to be this Real Madrid thing going on, that he wants to go to Real Madrid. He's another one of these prats, isn't he? He's another one of these players. I've always wanted to play for Real Madrid. We had it with bloody Ronaldo as well. But you know what? At some point, when are these young players coming through going to bin off Madrid? I've always wanted to play for Norwich. Why do they always... I understand why they always want to play to Real Madrid. But are they not going to actually use their head and realise Real Madrid are a bit of a shit club at the moment? Like, they're not one of the big hitters. I don't even mind if they start growing up and saying, I just want to play for PSG. But, the Real Madrid thing seems to have been going on for most of my bloody life. All these top players, I want to play for Real Madrid. Hi, Mark, what would your dream signing be? What would be your dream signing to end the summer with, says Maxwell. My dream signing would be a little bit like what Sean Turner said, as a holding midfielder of the quality that is, the quality of a Varane or a Sancho. Somebody who comes in the club and you go, right, they're definitely going to play. So for me, I think the best Premier League option would be an Ndidi or a Declan Rice. I'd love one of those two at Man United. David Delamar, thank you very much for becoming a member. You can do that by clicking the join button. And Liverpool have better buying and selling a record by far than Chelsea. No, Robert. Look, Robert, thank you very much. You've established the way the show works. It's about your opinion. You've expressed your opinion. But you telling me that Liverpool are better at selling and buying than Chelsea, I disagree. I disagree with you. But you walk off with Liverpool, I'll tell you what I admire. I don't respect Liverpool's transfer policy. I don't. I like the way Liverpool recruit players. I think they're very thorough. But actually, I don't think over the last 2 or 3 years it's been that great. They had that really good summer around Fabinho and Alisson, and obviously when they bought Mane and Salah and Van Dijk. But I think Chelsea are consistently, over the last 15 years, they've been brilliant. I'm not just talking about the last 2 years. Chelsea have been like this for about 15 years. Edward Walters says, buzzing for Varane. Do not think I have been this excited for a defender ever. Watched his documentary and he really is great, both football in and out, says Edward Walters. Absolutely spot on. I'll have the preview up for the Southampton game. I think I'm going to put it up tomorrow afternoon, actually. Very excited for that. Did some quite deep diving into Southampton and a bit of how we should play, and I've used the tactics board, so I'm looking forward to putting that up tomorrow. But let's carry on with the show. So, what we got? What do we got? What do we got? She had a huge ass. That's where I lose Pacino on that. What do we got? What do we got? We got nothing. What do we got? Just when I was out, they pooped me back in. Rubbish. Anyway, I can't really do that. I can do Robert De Niro. Their name is Robert De Niro. I can do Robert De Niro a little bit. You talking to me? You talking to me? I don't see anyone else here. You talking to me? Anyway, I'm having my own private show here. I better get on with the show. Thoughts on predicted team with no Sancho and Varane, says SR. Mate, it's a predicted team. I don't get this. We do it, and we've done it for years. But I'm seeing tweets going round from like the Evening Standard or a certain website with a predicted 11. And I'm like, it can't mean anything. Hello? It can't mean anything. I saw somebody today tweet out Man United's predicted team for Sunday by the Evening Standard. And I went, oh my God. It is Wednesday. We're not playing till Sunday. Ollie hasn't picked his bloody team yet. Why are people putting out a predicted 11? Can you tweet my predicted 11 out tomorrow afternoon? Because I've got no inside knowledge. It's a predicted 11. Stop panicking. Buzzing for Varane. Do not think I've been this excited. I've done that one from Edward Walters, haven't I? I've done that. I have. Yes, I definitely have. Right, okay, let's move on. So, speaking about TCHOUAMENI, we're speaking about Camavinga. Let's see what happens over the next 10 days. 13 days. Fingers crossed we get a midfielder in. Please get a holding midfielder in. I would bloody love TCHOUAMENI. I would love Ruben Neves. I would love Camavinga. One of them. And we've owned this transfer window. I absolutely would love it. I'd bloody love it if it happened. Now, somebody's just told me about a tweet, which I am going to check because I know this guy does get... Okay, brilliant. Absolutely superb. So Jonathan Schrager here, who is definitely somebody... I wouldn't say he's always right, but he's a nice guy, and he did used to get the team news. To be fair, there was somebody who used to give me the team news as well. But what he's saying is that Papa Sarr appears much more likely to go to City than United. TCHOUAMENI is a player that interests United. So look, that to me, and look, I'm not saying that Jonathan Schrager's any more credible than the guy we've just spoken about, because the guy we've just spoken about, Mr. Let me just get his name. I don't want to be wrong on this, getting people's name. Sasha Tavalieri, who was very good about Lukaku, he is saying that Manchester United are interested as well. So what we're getting here, just before we move on, what we're getting here with TCHOUAMENI, please smash a like on the video, is this morning, it was Duncan Castle's transfer podcast. And as I said, this morning, I wouldn't, if Duncan Castle said to me that swimming pool's got no sharks in it, I wouldn't jump in it. Because I don't think he's totally reliable. I think sometimes he is and sometimes he isn't. I don't want to be jumping in when he's not reliable and get eaten by a shark. And that's no disrespect to Duncan Castles. I think he'd have to admit it himself that like some of the stuff he said this summer hasn't been totally accurate. Some of it's been okay. So I wouldn't be totally convinced he was right. But I think what we've got today is 2 or 3 stories from people that also, again, I wouldn't be 100% to jump in the pool. It's not Romano. But it's adding to it. I think there's a bit of momentum. I'd still only be 20% sure we're going to go for him, but there's a bit more. This morning I was 0%. I was 0% that we were getting TCHOUAMENI this morning, but as the day's gone, it's gone up to 20%. Let's see if it can move on again. Let's see what happens in the next sort of few days. Could you imagine the French and English connection in our team with TCHOUAMENI coming in? Mad. Do you think Scott will ever be a top-class midfielder? Says Jack Birtles. Look, you know what? I call them the Forest fan brigade. You know, these idiots on social media who start going, Goldbridge is no way a United fan. He's definitely a Forest fan. Look at the way he said that. He's from Nottingham. He's 100% a Forest fan. 100%. These are the same idiots who start going, I can't wait for McTominay to prove everybody wrong. And I'll be there. And I'm like, hold on a minute. You must really have massive, massive problems when you look in the mirror. And I'm not talking about your ugly looks. I'm talking about the hate that resides inside you. Tell you what, I want to be right. Who gives a shit about people being right about everything? The whole joy about football for me is that, yeah, I do get things right. Bruno Fernandes will be a revelation at this club 18 months before we bought him. High five. Luke Shaw is going to be one of the best left backs. High five. Said it 2 or 3 years ago. Van Dijk is the Chris Smalling, the Dutch Chris Smalling. Yeah, got that one wrong. I'd rather have Josh King than Cavani. I mean, I was in a very angry mood about Sancho not signing. Got that wrong. Don't profess to be right. Don't ever want to be totally right. I love the fact that I get some things right and some things wrong. On Scott McTominay, there will never be anybody who can sit there and say, told you so. Told me what? Like, McTominay as a holding midfielder last season was not easy on the eye. He wasn't particularly good. On Saturday, and funnily enough, in December against Leeds, he was given freedom to get forward. And oh, what a surprise. Oh, what a surprise. Oh, what a surprise. McTominay's better as a box-to-box player. Oh, what a surprise. I mean, have we not been talking about this for a long time? I think the problem with Scott McTominay is nobody knows what he bloody is. All we ever hear is that Carrick loves him, Mourinho loves him, Ollie loves him, Sir Alex loves him. And we're like, well, there must be something there. And then we don't really ever see it. We just see this midfielder stood in the midfield doing a little pivot on the ball and passing it 5 yards. But when he's allowed to get forward, you start to go, all right, okay, I can see something there. And what a surprise, he used to be a bloody striker. So if you play a player that used to be a striker as a holding midfielder, you might, just might, not be getting the best out of him. So all these people who say, do you think there's a player in McTominay? Well, I don't know. But I think if there is a player in McTominay, it has to be as a box-to-box player and not a holding midfielder. So let's wait and see. But I certainly won't have people saying, I told you, all these people who used to give McTominay shit, look at them now. And I'll go, well, I was one of them. Nobody else, you can sit down and hide if you want. Yeah, I was one of them. Come on, what are you going to tell me? I told you so. I told you McTominay was a good player. Did you? Did you now? Well, he wasn't good as a holding midfielder. He's become better as a box-to-box player. Did he get played as a box-to-box player last season? No, he didn't. Shut up, sit down, and carry on. I saw a lot of fans trying to say to Lindelof at CDM and thought he has the attributes for what you thought. No, not answering that, Mohammed. Thank you. Keep an eye out for Rabiot in the last few weeks in the market. This agent is talking to teams and Juve are open to selling him, says Sean Turner. Don't actually think Rabiot gets on that well with Pogba. I think there's an issue with Rabiot and Pogba, from what I remember, so I wouldn't worry about that one too much, Robert, on that one. Robert Thompson says, what do you think of Greenwood's physique and how he is bulked up? Looks like a real centre-forward. Yeah, spot on. Agree. Tchouaméni looks really good at the age. He reads decently well, good distribution and commanding passes and ruthless tackling. Shravan, look, you can never predict anything, but I've got to say this. On Tchouaméni and Camavinga, I think Camavinga will be a very good player, but I think Camavinga will be a very good player as a box-to-box player. I think Tchouaméni is going to be a holding midfielder, and I think he's got the potential to be an Ndidi, a Fabinho, a Declan Rice, someone like that. Do you want Camavinga, who could be one of the world's best box-to-box players, or do you want Tchouaméni, who could be the next, I don't know, Ndidi? And for me, the Tchouaméni deal just feels more suitable for what we need, because we've already got Pogba, we've got Van der Beek. McTominay, we've just spoken about him. We've got a lot of box-to-box players. We don't have a holding midfielder. I just feel that Tchouaméni probably is the better fit. Not necessarily the better player, but the better fit. But look, whether it's going to happen or not, very speculative. So yeah, thank you for that, Shravan. And Connor says, I heard you say this morning if we buy Tchouaméni that we would have a 9 out of 10 window. Do you not think that we need a CDM to come straight into the team and Tchouaméni is a bonus to get a 9 out of 10 window? No, Connor, I think if you look, as I said, the reality is with Tchouaméni is if you've actually done your homework on him, and as I said, my main homework on Tchouaméni was because I wanted Chelsea to buy him because I wanted them to leave Declan Rice to us. So I have done some research on him. And I had to revisit it over this morning and today, but a lot of it I knew already from 2 or 3 months ago. This is a player that Chelsea were looking to bring in to play. They wanted to bring him in and use him. This is a player that played, I think, over 30 times for Monaco last year. He got man of the match 8 times. He's playing in a league that's got Neymar in it. He's playing in a league that I don't really rate that league massively, but he's not, he is playing. He is actually playing games and he's playing as a holding midfielder. So would he come in and go straight into the United team? I think it's a great point. And under Ollie, you'd probably say no. But how long would it take for him to actually be, the player that we need? Because we already know that Matic could do a job this season every other game. And maybe this lad comes in and sort of gradually takes his spot. So, look, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm still only 20%, but I'd love it to happen. Mark, which trophy can we win this season? Says Soam. All of them. Any of them is the answer, not all of them. We could win any of them. I don't think we're more likely to win the Carabao Cup than the Premier League because Man City take the Carabao Cup very, very seriously. So Mark, what's James still doing at United? Ollie has an obsession to stop. Ahmad has to stay and James should leave permanently. That's not going to happen, Alison. If we sign TCHOUAMENI, we're going to have a very unhappy bench. We must sell Matic, Van der Beek or Fred, but we can't and won't, says Stockton. Will you be doing any videos around the Wrexham versus Solihull games on Saturday? They're sponsored by TikTok, so get yourself in there, Mark, says Joshua Bowter. Oh, Wrexham, and I've been down Solihull Moors today. I mean, they're my local team. I've only lived in Solihull for about 8 years, but they are my local team. It's a nice little club, and they're playing Wrexham on Sunday, who've been bought by Ryan Reynolds and the other Hollywood star. So they're already sponsored by TikTok. I mean, it just shows you money attracts money, doesn't it? So yeah, up the Moors. Let's hope they can do it. Any update on Garner's future? Heard he rejected a contract, says Shravan. No, he's not. He's got 2 years left on his deal. He's got 1 year with plus another option. I think he will sign a new contract and I think he'll go on loan. Marish, thank you and welcome to the Members Club. And I will believe it when we buy a CDM. United might have parked the bus on the transfers now. Very United thing to do, says Kanishka. Okay, let's talk about Andreas Pereira, because we actually have one in, one out. We've got one in, question mark, one out, definitely. TikTok's dead now, apparently, says Tom. I don't know whether that's true or not. I never really watched it much in the first place. But let me just say this. Andreas Pereira is leaving Manchester United to go to Flamengo on loan. He's going on loan. Now, remember Brandon Williams to Southampton, the loan deal was meant to be worth about 3 million. And AC Milan for Delo was meant to be about 3 million. Guess how much we're getting for Andreas Pereira from Flamengo? 850,000 for a year. That's what we're getting. So, look, Andreas Pereira has left. To be honest with you, I don't think this is a good deal. And I don't think United think it's a good deal. And I don't think anybody thinks it's a good deal. I think it's actually a very average deal, because I think it's worse than last year, because I don't think that Brazilian football has got a lot of money in it. Now, apparently I was reading that United, it's not a loan to buy. There's no obligation to buy. It's an option. So he goes on loan for a year and they've got an option to buy. If he doesn't have a good year he's coming back. Same as Lazio. United wanted to sell him. Nobody will pay for him. And United have tried to say it's because of not a very vibrant market. It's nothing to do with a vibrant market. He's just not very good. People want to try before you buy with Pereira because he's not good. He's been to Lazio. They didn't want him. He's now going to Flamengo. They might not want him in a year's time. He could well end up being back at United next summer and having to go on loan again. We don't even cover his wages, I don't think. I presume they pay his wages, actually. But, I mean, look, at the end of the day, another loan for Pereira doesn't solve the problem. He's still a United player. He's just out the way for another year. We can't offload him. It's the same with Phil Jones. We can't offload these players. And... look, I'm glad he's not staying, but if he was staying, he wouldn't have been on the bench anyway. So it's just out of sight, out of mind, isn't it, with Pereira? But yeah, I just feel that it's just another example of being unable to shift the deadwood, which we've created in our own way, because we gave him a stupid bloody contract in the first place. So he's going to go. Apparently, there is a loan option. Sorry, he is on loan with an option to buy. And I read that the option to buy is about 12 million quid. I mean, we really don't understand the value of Andreas Pereira, we do it. He's not a 12 million pound player. He just isn't. If we get 12 million, I'll bloody applaud it. But he's not a 12 million pound player. He's probably about a 7 or 8 million pound player. Maybe, but yeah, he's going on loan. Shravan says, how Liverpool can sell for 10s and 20 million for players who've never played a second for first team, and we can't sell ex-first team players is disgraceful. I'll tell you what, Shravan, I can actually explain that to you. So what Shravan's talking about there is that Liverpool can sell people like Solanke, Ryan Brewster, and they get about 20 million for them. But United cannot sell Andreas Pereira. The reality is they can't sell these players. The reason Liverpool can sell those players is because Liverpool don't pay stupid wages to players. Somebody was telling me the other day that, like, you know, Andy Robertson or Trent Alexander-Arnold were on less than £100,000, something like that. So up until their latest contract. So Liverpool don't pay what we pay. So that makes a big difference, because to buy Andreas Pereira, you've got to pay him whatever he's on. And I don't know what Pereira's on, but I know Phil Jones is on about 80 grand a week. So there's a lot of money there you've got to pay for a player that's not actually worth that amount of money. The way I see it is there is traction with Lingard and West Ham. Why would we not factor a couple of loans along as a package to get Rice, says Manu. Flamengo pays 60%. Also, his contract ends in 2023. So either we sell him next window, but more likely we sign him to a new contract, rinse and repeat. And that was from Vashan. And hi Mark, hope you're doing well. Do you think even if we buy a CDM, Ollie will start McFred? I only ask because he seems to trust them more and more. Matt Owen, what I would say about the midfielders, and I don't think we need to be totally negative here. We do need to buy a holding midfielder. We definitely do. But the reason we need to buy a holding midfielder has sort of developed. We, as fans, have been saying, and ex-players have been saying this as well, that United need to buy a good holding midfielder. And they were saying it last year. But last year we were playing McFred, right? 2 holding midfielders, stood in front of basically a back 6. And we needed to buy a holding midfielder, right? What Ollie has done, and I've seen it in pre-season and I saw it against Leeds, we're not playing with 2 holding midfielders. Fred was holding and McTominay was further forward. They're not McFred anymore. McFred at the moment is rest in peace because McTominay and Fred is not McFred. McFred was a very, I mean, it was, to be fair, it was Beth who said it. She gave the name for these, basically I was talking about it's 2 players doing one person's job. And that's why Beth said McFred, because it's 2 people doing one person's job. They're not doing that. Well, I mean, we've only had 1 game, but they didn't do that against Leeds. It was Fred holding with McTominay pushing. That's Fred and McTominay. Now, I think McFred for now needs to sort of be confined, you know, because it is offensive to call them McFred when they're not actually 2 people doing one person's job anymore. McTominay's job is very different to Fred, which is why McTominay is a little bit more exciting at the moment because he's getting forward. Fred is the holding player. So it's Fred and McTominay. Do I think that works? Well, I think McTominay's almost out of the conversation because it's the holding midfielder. We should just be talking about Fred. Unless McTominay starts holding the midfield and then you talk about McTominay. But at the moment, we're talking Fred. Not really bothered about the McTominay thing. McTominay's competing with Van der Beek and maybe Pogba. Fred's competing with Matic. So I don't want to hear McFred because it's not McFred anymore. McTominay's in a different role. Fred's in a different role. For me, is Fred good enough to be the holding midfielder in a Premier League winning side? No. So this is why we should buy a holding midfielder. It's a shame to see that players like Locatelli and other Italians won't leave Serie A. 25 million is a bargain, says Elliot. Well, to be fair, Elliot, Arsenal wanted to get Locatelli and they didn't get him. So, yeah, because he wants to stay in Italy. We should have sold Andreas after his Valencia loan move. He did decent then and his value would have been higher and he wouldn't be our trouble, says Shravan. And we also need to buy a right back and we all know why. We have a player in that position who can't pass to a red shirt, says Ben Anderson. I don't know what player you're talking about. I like Wan-Bissaka, so I hope you're not talking about him. And I do like Delo as well. Do I think Donny will play this season, says George? I love Donny, so I'm going to say no. But I hope I get proved wrong. I don't think Donny will get much time this year. But I hope I'm wrong, because from what I've seen of him and what I got told about the Burnley game yesterday, he is playing well. And he played well against Everton. So I would like to see that happen. So Lingard's going to go on... Not Lingard. Pereira's going to go on loan. The reason I mentioned Lingard is there was a story today in the Mail saying that Ollie sees Lingard as part of his plans, first team plans, and doesn't really want to let him go. Certainly doesn't want to let him go on loan. There is interest from West Ham, but United want 25 million, and if they don't get the fee they want, they'll keep him. I mean, it's just a weird story because I've seen pictures again of Lingard today, and he looks so happy, and it's a conflict, isn't it? It's a conflict because we know about Jesse, and he's been very open about his mental health. And I don't think there's a United fan out there that dislikes Jesse Lingard. I think a few years ago he was irritating, and I think he admitted it himself. Beans. Some people loved it. Some people were like, grow up. And I think I don't think there are anybody. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think there are many people who dislike him now. And I certainly don't think there's people who dislike him as a player. But he is a bit of a divider at the moment because it's like United talking about sell to buy. I mean, look, we'd probably get Tchouaméni for 25 million, right? Well, there's 20 million there you can get for Lingard. Like, Lingard going could allow us to get the holding midfielder. If I said to you, right, we can't get Tchouaméni, but we can if we sell Lingard. Well, I know, I don't need to ask. I know what people are going to say. And that's my issue here is, for me, I think Lingard should go. He looks very happy at United, but, happiness or career. some people want happiness. That's fine, but I don't think you're good enough for United. I don't, and that's not a hate thing. It's not a dislike thing. He might say to me, "Well, I think Levin's a better presenter than you." That's fine. You're wrong, but no, I'm only joking. Levin's very, very good. But what I'm saying is, it's an opinion on football, isn't it? It's not about the person. And I just feel that Sancho, Rashford, Martial, Pogba, Bruno, Greenwood, that's 6 straight away, are better than Jesse. And I don't see us getting 4 injuries. So you'd have to give him game time ahead of one of them to give him some game time, and I don't agree with that. So, and I also think he's good enough to play first team football for most Premier League sides. So I think his problem at United now is that if we had half what I've just said, he would be really important. But we've got too many options in the positions he wants to play, so I would sell him. I think he should want to go himself to play football. And then on top of that, we can sell him, and that money could get us a holding midfielder. So I think there's 3 reasons here. 1, we don't need him anymore. We've got too many other options. 2, I don't think he needs us anymore because his career is better elsewhere. 3, if we sell him, we could buy a holding midfielder. They're the 3 big reasons. 4, I really like him. I think, I think he's been so honest in relation to the issues that he's been suffering with, and I think that's really important. I mean, away from football, I think that's really important. And he comes across as a really nice guy. So, those 2 things are constant for me, especially over the last year. And the other, but in a footballing sense, the money could get us TCHOUAMENI or another holding midfielder. We don't need him. We don't. We've got too many options that I think are better. And third of all, I think he doesn't need us. But I don't know whether that's going to happen. I do agree we shouldn't loan him again. Why would you loan it? I mean, I don't even know why that's a thing. Why is that a thing? United refused to loan Lingard. Of course we bloody refuse to loan him. If we loan him for a year, he's out of contract. We either sell him or we give him a new contract. And I think we should sell him. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a far greater in attack and instinct, which is a shift I've been seeing across pre-season and Leeds game. I like him, Shravin. I do like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and I've said that time and time again. And also got a super chat here from Levin. Your days are numbered, Grandpa. Bloody, he's there with the banter. Maybe he is. Maybe he is better than me. He's starting to get the banter. He's learning from the best. Mark, these players lack ambition as well, says Soham. And Darren G makes a good point. It shouldn't even be Jesse's decision. United should make the decision. Brandon says, we're going to price Jesse out of a move and he will end up running his contract down. Look at what happened to Pereira, says Brandon. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the next few weeks, I suppose, on that one. I mean, one player I do want to talk about as well in relation to a loan deal is Ahmad. I'm very excited about Ahmad. I mean, look, initially, and I totally agree with what Alison said. Really, Ahmad should be staying and James should be going. If you give it, again, it's a football decision. I think Dan James is a really likeable lad. And I think a lot of our fans do fall into that trap. I mean, I probably used to 10 years ago, certainly 20 years ago, I would be driven by, Match Magazine and Shoot and things like that. And, that's my favourite player. He's got to play. But I think Dan James, like Lingard, is really likeable. But I don't look at that because I know players that have played for United who are horrible persons, but brilliant footballers. And I would pick them every day in a United 11. So for whether they're nice or not doesn't bother me. It's whether they're good enough for United. And I spoke about this morning about I nearly retweeted it and I thought, no, I'm not going to be that person. Somebody today on Twitter, and I don't know what tweet it was on, but I was just spending a few minutes having my lunch looking on Twitter at United stuff and reading some of the replies, and it wasn't on one of mine, so you won't find it. And basically they were talking about, I don't know what player they were talking about because I've read a lot of players today, but let's say it was Pereira, right? It wasn't Pereira. It was a first teamer from the weekend, but I know who it was now, but I'm not going to shout him out because that's not the point. The reality is there was a conversation about this player, and they were going along the lines of, oh, he gets so much shit, but I tell you what, he loves this club. I want him to do really well, right? And then in the replies, it was like, hard work will always overcome talent. And I thought, what a stupid comment. I would work harder than any United player. I would. Or I'd certainly go as close as anybody else who wanted to work as hard as me because, Bruno Fernandes is not a United fan. He loves United, but he's not a United fan. And he's fitter than me, and he's a better footballer than me. But I would run until I dropped for that football club, and most of you would. But Bruno is a better player than me, and he will run around a lot. So it doesn't matter how hard. It doesn't matter if I run around to my last breath. Bruno's better than me. So how can hard work overcome talent? What people get mixed up with is, and we don't have these players at United anymore anyway. I don't know why we talk about hard work so much, because Ollie has changed the culture at United. We don't have any freeloaders anymore. We don't have players with bad attitude anymore. Name me a player at United who's got a bad attitude who, they're gone. The bad apples, Ollie spoke about them last year, they're all gone. So I don't know why people are still at this football club talking about hard work is, like it's a trait. It's a standard at United or Liverpool or City or Chelsea. Hard work comes as standard. I don't know why we champion hard work. It's not an attribute. It's not on a bloody fantasy bloody card, is it? It's not an ultimate fan thing below, is it? It's not there. Hard work. Oh, ultimate fan app, right? You do get points for one of your players putting in hard work. He got 5 bonus points for running around a lot. We talk about this too much. We're talking about it too much. If you're valuing hard work, that means we've got bad players at the club. And look, we all know players who are very talented and can't be arsed. We haven't got any at United. So we need to shut up about hard work, because it's not that thing. But look, Ben Anderson's back. He says, they're saying is hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, which I think is true. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that one, Ben. But yeah, you're probably right on that one. But it's not relevant to United anymore. It completely disrespects what Ollie's done in the last 3 years. Because I think whatever you think, I think the only conversation we're having about United is whether they're good enough, not whether they don't work hard. I think from Matic to Dan James, from Scott McTominay to Paul Pogba, from Diego Dalot to Brandon Williams, from Dean Henderson to Cavani, whatever combinations you want to talk about, I don't think hard work is a problem at United. I think the only issue we have now is whether they're good enough. And that's down to Ollie and his coaches. They have eradicated the bad feeling in that team. And look, people weren't putting a shift in at United. I don't think they weren't putting a shift in because they were lazy. I think they weren't putting it. I don't think they were. Look, under Mourinho, Martial wasn't performing, Rashford wasn't performing, Pogba was struggling, Luke Shaw was struggling. 4 of our best players. They weren't not working because they were being lazy. They weren't performing because they were unhappy. We've eradicated this, and look, I'm not turning this into an Ollie In show, but I just cannot stand this hard work over talent bullshit, because it's not a problem for United anymore. We're talking about whether we're good enough. We're way past people putting a shift in, because everybody does put a shift in at United. We are CDM away from having the spine we've been missing since Carrick retired to Shravan, and that's why CDM is that more important. I agree. Let me just complete the point I was talking about, though. Ahmad. I was just talking about Ahmad, wasn't I? So, in my mind, I would remove Dan James and develop Ahmad, because I think he is the future. That's not going to happen. We've got to just deal with the fact that he's going to be loaned out. I don't understand why we bought Pellistri and Ahmad to loan them out a year later, by the way. I mean, that's a completely different conversation, and I don't think people at this moment in time really want to delve into that, because we're in a positive space, and I get that. I guarantee if we lost the first 3 games of the season, people would want that conversation, but I still think that's quite interesting that we bought Ahmad and Pellistri and have loaned them out within a year. But the important thing for Ahmad now is where he goes on loan. And I'm very excited over the next 10 days. Now I accept he's going on loan, because he is. I'm very excited about where he's going to go, because he is, for me, I think where Garner goes is interesting. I think where Williams goes is interesting. Where Mengi goes is interesting. But where Ahmad goes is very interesting. Because if he goes to a team in the Premier League, I can't wait. If he goes to the Championship, I can monitor it. If he goes to the Bundesliga, I can monitor it. I don't want him to go anywhere else. And remember, Romano said he won't be going back to Serie A. So don't really want him in La Liga, because that's where Pellistri is. But I think it'd be very, very exciting to see where he goes. I hope we can get him a really good deal, because you know what? I don't think Pereira's loan's a good deal. I just think he's out of sight, out of mind for a year. If Ahmad went to Basel, I think that's a bad loan. I think if Ahmad goes to bloody Rennes, that's a bad loan. If Ahmad goes to Brighton and plays 30 games, that's a bloody brilliant loan. That's bloody brilliant. So I'm very interested to see what happens with Ahmad. I mean, where would you like him to go, actually? Where would you like Ahmad to go? For me, I would rather he went to Crystal Palace and played 30 games than go to Wolves and play 15. To me, it's not about how good the club he goes to, because Everton might want, Benitez might want him, but he says, he's going to be a sub, he might play a handful of games. And I think United will be thinking exactly the same as we are. For me, I'd love him in the Premier League, but I don't want him to go, if Spurs want him, people will be like, oh, that's great. I don't want him to go to Spurs because he won't hardly play. I want him to go to a club. I don't mind if he goes to Norwich and gets relegated, as long as he plays 35 games. That's the thing for Ahmad. You want him to play as many games as possible. Ahmad versus James. If we loan James out, it's seen as he's failed, but that isn't the case with Ahmad. With Mata finishing next season, then he has his chance. Yes, Mike, and I'm at ease with it now. I'm at ease with Ahmad now. It really is about getting him the right loan and playing the right amount of games. And I think if he's playing in the Swiss League or the Swedish League, it's just not good enough. Remember, Ahmad played brilliantly as a false nine against Wolves away. And he came on against AC Milan and played brilliantly well as well. He doesn't need, I think in a different scenario, it's almost like, Ahmad's situation's a bit like Lingard. The reason we need to sell Lingard is because if we only had Sancho, Rashford, Bruno and Martial, you'd keep Lingard because you've only got 4 options for 3 spaces and he's a good backup. The reason we're going to get rid of Lingard, hopefully, is because we've got Sancho, Martial, Greenwood, Rashford, Bruno, Pogba, James, Mata. We don't need Lingard. It's too many players. Same with Ahmad. If we only add Sancho, Martial, Greenwood, Cavani, Bruno, Ahmad as a 6th option for 3 positions would be very, very useful. But he's the 9th or 10th option. So he does need to go on loan. I was typing Crystal Palace and you say it, great minds think alike, says Shravan. Well, he has been linked to Crystal Palace as well. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But look, you know what? Please smash a like on the video, by the way. It's an interesting show tonight. It is interesting. Pereira is going, great. And the TCHOUAMENI story, I just feel with TCHOUAMENI, we've spoken about what sort of player he is, and I'll repeat it again. If I was offering you Camavinga or TCHOUAMENI, which would you go for? Camavinga is 18, TCHOUAMENI is 21. They're both French, sort of irrelevant in a way. They both play in the French league, and they're both young talents. Camavinga likes to tackle and can pass, but many people think he's going to be a box-to-box player. TCHOUAMENI can tackle and can pass, but he's a holding midfielder. Camavinga's probably got the potential to be the better player, but TCHOUAMENI could be the next Ndidi. What are you going to go for? Do you want Camavinga or do you want TCHOUAMENI? And to be honest with you, I'd be over the moon with either of them, but at this moment in time, I'm going TCHOUAMENI because we need a holding midfielder. And that's what he is. And that's why I would go for him. I think Camavinga definitely can play there, but I'm not convinced that's where he wants to play, and I'm not convinced that's where he will play as he builds out. But we'll have to just wait and see what happens. Loving the content, Mark. Also come back to Dublin soon, if it isn't as bad as you made out to be on the happy hour these days. Tom, I love Dublin. That was a story about 18 months into when I lived there, and I lived there for 3 years. So, yeah, it's I can't wait to come back. Looking forward to it. So yeah, I would like him. I would definitely like him to come to United. And I hope, and the second thing I wanted to say is that, remember this started off on the morning show. Since the morning show, we've had 3 different people talking about TCHOUAMENI and United's interest now. So there's something there. Let's wait and see if it develops further. What you really need is a Mohamed Bahafsi or a Romano, someone like that, or one of the BBC journalists to come out and say, not BBC, one of the British journalists to come out and say United are in for him. That's what we need. And I suppose the next 12 to 24 hours will be key, because those people will be finding out. And they'll either say nothing, or they'll say we're not in for him, or we are in for him. So let's wait and see what happens with that. Right. And I kind of just remind everybody as well, very, very important. You'll have a lot of fun with this. The link is in the video description. These are the cards I've got for my team. It's the Ultimate Fan app. You can download it for free, but you must be over 18. It's a game you can play. There is an 8,500 prize pool for the weekend. Basically, you get a pack to open. You get 5 players that you put out there, and they accumulate points depending on position for scoring, actually playing, tackles, etc. These are the players that I've got in my packs. Links in the video description to play it. I'm very excited to play it actually this weekend, and you can buy additional packs if you want to, but you must be over 18 to play. The link is in the video description, and as you can see, that's how you pick your squad. Shravan says, how TCHOUAMENI at 21 is ready to be part of our team and not Ghana at 20. What could be the reason? Oh, mate, it's you know what? In relation to that sort of thing always makes me laugh. Why was Wayne Rooney finished at 28 and Cristiano Ronaldo's still playing at 36? You know, in their early 20s, they were 2 of the best players in the world. Don't ever look at age in that way, because TCHOUAMENI's played 30-something games for Monaco last year. Ghana's played half a season for Forest in the Championship. Different development rates. Doesn't mean Ghana's not going to be good, but Ghana's not ready. TCHOUAMENI's probably more ready. So, yeah, let's wait and see. Anyway, make sure you download the app, Ultimate Fan. Links in the video description. You can play that this weekend and see how you do. I'm looking forward to it. Must be over 18, though. And make sure you, the link's in the video description to download. Obviously, we'll be back in the morning with the morning show. Previews coming up in the afternoon tomorrow as well. 8 o'clock show. Got a new 8 o'clock show tomorrow. Really excited for you to see that. And we'll say it's still at 8 o'clock, but it's a new type of show. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and Ultimate Fan app. Give it a try. Something to do on a Wednesday night. I think you'll quite like it. Links in the video description. Thanks for watching.